Tesla is finished. Musk has destroyed his own brand. Nobody wants one. People are ashamed to be seen in one. Is all this familiar? We hear this and get a load of your comments on the same lines. What's really happening to Tesla? Does Europe in fact already have a new EV champion has taken over? I'm Dave. This is Dave Takes It On. Well, first fact, Tesla sales have been crashing at a frightening rate. At least frightening to many viewers and all of the world's media, and only in some parts of the world. At the same time, VW, despite yet not having their ID1 or ID2 budget models for sale, are capturing more than half the new EV sales in Europe. And BMW and Mercedes are also fighting back hard for their place in the new world order. Once Europe feared the Chinese, and while they're undoubtedly still a very real threat, the German motor industry is clawing its way out of potential bankruptcy. The latest confirmed figures for Europe are for April 2025. The final confirmed May figures are due anytime soon, and those highlights are included shortly in this video. April shows Tesla's sales slumped from the top spot down to number 12. And the VW group with their Skoda and ID models have swept all others aside with not only the top spot, but also third, fourth, fifth and eighth. It's a truly remarkable effort and result, particularly because the competition launched their iconic and cheap Renault 5 as a blockbuster, but it only came in second place, 25% down on the Skoda Elrock. Well, BYD is the first of the Chinese manufactured cheap EVs. They didn't even get in the top 10. Their apparent sixth place is a lie, since it was 915 EVs and 5,144 PHEVs. They don't count. Next came BMW iX1 and the Audi e-trons, both a long way behind. But the question remains, is Tesla finished, overtaken by the homegrown legacy auto? And the surprising answer is, I actually hope so. Many accuse me of being a Tesla fanboy. I am. Or a Musk lover, which I'm not. But sticking for the moment with April and 2025, we need to widen out and look at the year to date as a whole. 1 month can show significant differences from a longer term viewpoint. Here, that's exactly the case. Year to date, comparing January to the end of April 2025 to the same period 2024, the best-selling EV model in the whole of Europe was the Model Y, 35,024. And the Model 3 achieved fourth place with 25,533. VW claims second place with 27,287 for the ID4, followed up with fifth place, 25,217 for the ID7, and seventh, 23,916 for the ID3, plus another 25,000 odd for the Skoda Enyaq in sixth place. So factually, Tesla held the top spot for a specific model, while VW easily outsold them as a group. Tesla has only 2 models on sale in Europe, while the VW group has 5 out of the top 10. VW is finally starting to get its act together, sort of. Where are the VW budget models? The cheapest offering they have on sale is the ID3, 31,000. For a company famed for the budget cars like the Polo and the Golf and the Op, this is a poor show, but it's just like Skoda. Their cheapest offering is the new Elrock, 31,500. Both are amazing cars, both deserve the success they're achieving, but they're missing out these days because a lot of money has now shifted down to the budget models, definitely below 25,000 and many as low as 20,000. It is here that the VW group is at risk from the Chinese. Now, if we look now into the May preliminary figures, the situation gets worse for Tesla. They have a further 36% crash in sales in the UK. The European market as a whole grew again and now sees a 27% increase year on year compared to 2024. The countries leading the way are those that many doubters claims showed the collapse, namely Germany. They're now 45% up, plus 45% year to date, Spain plus 72%, Italy plus 58%. As a comparison, many viewers claim the US was collapsing. Far from it. They also saw a growth in May of 3%. Still growth. Well, here in the UK, we saw 1.6% overall growth with a 25% jump from the same month last year. However, Tesla once again slumped or rather crashed by 36%. Year-to-date shows a drop of just 8% down to 15,000 units. Well, is this the end? Or is there more behind the figures? Regular viewers will already know the answer. There is much more. Well, let's put Europe into perspective. It shares about a third of the world's market of new EV sales with America and the rest of the world. China dominates with a suggested 2/3 of all EV sales. And here the EV sales picture is pretty much the absolute reverse. The European giants like VW, BMW, Mercedes, they're seeing their new EV sales crashing at an increasing pace, and Tesla rising to the top, number one. So what's going on? Well, I mentioned earlier that Tesla effectively only has two models. The Cybertruck's not on sale in most of the world. It's only ever going to be a tiny proportion of total sales. Likewise, the Model S and X, they're small fry. In 2024, the whole year, S and X represented a tiny 85,135 deliveries out of a massive 1,704,000 for the 3 and the Y. And the Y seriously outsold the Model 3. Well, Y is by far and away the best-selling car ever, which according to Statista was the best-selling car of any fuel in the world in 2024, narrowly beating Toyota Corolla, which is £10,000 to £15,000 cheaper. And for the first few months of this year, the Model Y production lines, they've all been shut down. They're converting the production over to the refresh Model Y. So if Tesla only has two mass-market cars on sale and only one's being produced, should we expect a massive drop or crash in sales for the company? Yeah, exactly. Now, even though the production lines have been converted, they just have absolutely zero stock of the new refresh model, and as fast as they make them, they're heading out the door. All of them now self-driven. Now, it'll take time to ramp up to full speed, and the situation at that point is as yet unknown. Here in the UK and Europe, the first deliveries of the refresh models are just out on the roads. Demand is reported to be high. But they were released earlier in Norway, so we can learn something from their figures. In Norway, the June figures, not yet available, but they have some for May, and they showed a massive leap in Tesla sales, up by 213% to be the best-selling car in Norway. Most of that was driven by the Model Y. But the Norwegian EV Association General Secretary Christina Boo said that in a recent survey, 43% of respondents stated that politics does influence their choice of car brand, and she ponders just how successful the Model Y would have been without Elon and his dally into politics. Well, if this is replicated elsewhere in Europe, then the Model Y is likely to see a massive skyrocketing of sales, just at a lower level than could have been achieved. But, as previously stated, Europe accounts for only part of 1/3 of the total sales outside China. So what's happening in China? Well, there they began deliveries of the refresh Model Y very much earlier, so we've had more time to build up the picture and more time to see if any initial surge continues. We now have that data. Well, it seems that China totally ignores what Musk has to say or do. Maybe they don't even know. The media is heavily censored. But sales are reported weekly in China. I do wish they'd do the same here. The latest registration figures for the week ending June the 15th, 2025 report Tesla sales dwarfing all EV sales in China. The NIO had just over 3,000, XPeng 6,000, Li Auto, no cars available yet in the UK, had nearly 8,000, Xiaomi 5,500, Zeekr 3,000, Leapmotor 8,800, Ito just a couple of BEVs 10,000. Well, BYD no longer make any ICE vehicles at all, but they lump their HEVs and PHEVs and BEVs all together. So their total of 70,300 units cannot be used as a direct comparison. What we do know is that the majority of those sales are not BEVs. Well, into this, Tesla had a record week with 15,500 registrations. And no, none were pre-registered. These figures show insurance registrations, so actual real customers. That's over 2,200 vehicles a day. Now, in the media artificially generated battle between Tesla and BYD, we need to understand what BYD has 9 major factories in China and has been manufacturing for nearly 20 years, longer than Tesla. Today it's grown to a turnover around $107 billion, while Tesla's grown very much quicker to around $98 billion already. Well, it's an unknown just how many people will end up buying the refreshed Tesla Model Y. Certainly it'd be fewer than if Musk had kept his mouth shut and got on with the business of making EVs. But as the production lines in Tesla's 4 factories ramp up, it's reasonable, likely even, that we're going to see sales rise. VW, by the way, has or had, they're shutting them down at a fair old pace, over 100 production factories, and produce over 25,000 cars a day. Well, VW is in a strange state. They jumped early into EVs and floundered around for a few years, then sagged disastrously before recovering recently. Their ICE sales have been collapsing recently, especially in their main market, China, but more recently in the US over tariffs. Against that, VW recently offset future American losses. Did they know something we don't? With their St. Thomas battery factory in Ontario, Canada. That, in a very lucky break, means there's no tariff war here. They will have in a year or two enough batteries to make over 1 million EVs per year. Well, does someone in VW deserve a massive pat on the back and pay rise for that decision that was taken in 2023? This facility will employ about 3,000 workers. Now, their EV sales are nowhere near enough yet to give them the same turnover or profit that they were getting from their ICE production. But VW is heading to be one of the largest EV manufacturers in the world. There is a tipping point coming up, certainly for them on the horizon. ICE sales have been deceptively good in recent years, but that era is at an end as China now buys increasingly more EVs than ICE, so cutting that market to about 25% of what it once was, and even that sector is being fiercely fought over and due to decline quickly to almost zero. Their sales into the US have been severely disrupted, and even if they get a good deal, still likely to face tariffs, and they're unlikely ever to get back up to where they were. So that leaves them with EVs, and even more investment is needed to get those numbers up to the level they need. The question is, do they have the money or credit or collateral to transition from ICE to 100% EVs? They certainly seem to be going for it, and the ID2 will be a big factor. It's likely that will be brought forward, so expect to see that later this year for production early 2026. That could be the game changer for them. I said earlier on that I hoped they could and would beat Tesla. I actually meant it. See, remember, Apple launched the smartphone era with a total innovation that was a mile ahead of everyone else, very expensive. Then came the competition, and Samsung emerged from that even bigger, and that competition has kept down prices and increased technological changes. Now we've got Xiaomi entering the picture. They're likely to be a big player in the future. To me, the more the merrier. Samsung taking such a large part of the market has not destroyed Apple, as the media portray BYD destroying Tesla, nor will it ever. Tesla and Samsung merely attacked the entirely new markets that were created as the old technology died out. There is plenty of room today for another half dozen Teslas. I would welcome them. And neither does Tesla seem to mind. The potential for their robotaxis seems to be infinitely larger than the new car market if they can ever get them going. Has been predicted based on Waymo, Uber and Lyft figures that the capital return on these is really scary in business terms. It's also likely they're not going to sell that many to the public. The market would indicate that they could recover their initial cost of production of each robocab or robotaxi in as little as 6 months, and each robotaxi would then go on to become an actual money earner for the next 10 to 20 years. No longer would they just make a profit when they sold a new EV. In future, they will generate an income from every robotaxi they make. This is an actual money printing machine. So I expect Tesla will sit back and let the EV manufacturers take over the EV sales. Tesla back in 2008 promised to speed up the world's transition to sustainable energy, and boy have they already done that. Without Tesla, we would all still be driving ICE. They might just settle for having achieved that and now go flat out in the future to speed up the world's transition away from car ownership to cheap, clean, green robocabs on demand on your smartphone. I'm Dave.